everyone, it's Namu here and welcome to a new video. Today we're gonna watch another internet historian, but actually this is from his Incognito mode channel. Someone in the comments told me that I'm supposed to watch his fancy series, like alternating between internet historian channel and his Incognito mode channel. I really enjoyed his first episode of this series, which was theater, and this one is on painting. Let the class begin.
NordVPN isn't like the other girls. Hello, Incognito mode
Not
videos
like other
now.
girls.
Alright, so the schedule for this mini-series goes like this. We did the main channel on theater, then an incognito mode on painting, which is this. Then there's a main channel on wine, and then an incognito mode on a bunch of stories around wine.
So he does describe the order here too. Oh, I would not have known if I didn't read that comment. So to the commenter, thank you very much for letting me know. But also here, I'm getting informed of the order for the proper education class.
And there's a main channel on things that people wear. There's a main channel on luxury goods, and then we round the whole thing off with 2 more incognito modes.
Okay, and then we get like a diploma, right? After this.
Then I go back into cryostasis.
No!
This first section is on the basics of painting, and we were a little bit worried to show it because we kind of felt like this will split the audience.
Why?
Not because it's political or anything, but because it's so basic. So someone who already knows something about art would be like, yeah, of course, why are you telling me this? But for someone like me, who knows practically zero...
What does it say? Certified snack? Oh. What does that mean?
about art, I found it really interesting, and I thought, why the heck haven't I been told this before, right? So, first section.
The basics of painting.
Basics of painting.
Oh, he just... I didn't have to read it.
The arts.
Okay.
The arts.
Art.
Do not put an F in front of that. Worst mistake I ever made in my life. Alright, first, some things that'll make you go, yeah, and? Or, oh, right. So look at this colorful goo.
Okay.
Paint. Delicious in both jam and chip form. But its raw components are just 2 essential things. An undissolving pigment and a medium. Now, pigments are basically just colorful dust, and the medium is the liquidy thing that the dust hangs out in. Now, the liquid determines what type of paint you have. Pigment plus water equals watercolors. Pigment plus glue equals acrylics.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Pigment plus oil equals oil paints. So simple. And pigment plus, moving on.
Wait,
now,
what?
The pigment paints.
Isn't
So
that
simple. And pigment plus, moving on.
Wait,
Now, the pigment
Pigment
does not...
Plus... Wasn't that like a Rainbow Dash from My Little Pony? Pigment Plus... My Little Pony is what? What is it? What would that be?
dissolve into the medium. Instead, it's just kind of suspended in it. When the pigment does dissolve into a medium, that's a dye. So that's the basic difference.
Yeah.
Now, you have to transfer the paint
know.
onto the canvas. To do that, we need to talk tools. Well, first, you can just use your fingers. It was good enough for the cavemen, and it's good enough for your mom. So it's good enough for us.
For your
Then
mom?
we tried brushes. Now, here is the anatomy of a brush. Handle, the bristles, the ferrule, and the crimp. Now, the bristles are the most important bit. First, we were just using mangled up reeds called fronds.
Imagine, like, a long time ago, this is what they did. It's so cool. People would actually, like, make their own tools and then use them. And then take care of them or repair them, make new ones. And now we just go to the store.
But they got really good once we started using animal hair. Have a look at some of the animals we used. Boar, taken from the neck or the back of the pig. That is the kind of brush that Van Gogh used. And it's still the gold standard for today. A goat brush. It's good, but it's not the goat. Lacks some spring, so it's mostly used for calligraphy. badger. Now that's actually mostly
badger.
used for shaving, not painting at all.
No way.
Horse, raccoon, and wolf, also not great quality. But what's the worst quality of all? You know, the gutter oil of the brush world. Well, the worst quality is camel hair brushes.
Okay,
and they're mostly sold as arts and crafts brushes for kids. But the weird thing
Do you think human hair get used for this too? Would that be too weird? I feel like a long time ago they would have done it.
Camel hair is so low quality that it's not even used in brushes at all. Huh? Yes, so-called camel hair brushes are actually made from cats.
Made for cats?
And rabbits and squirrels. But that makes people kind of sad. So they...
Wait, do you kill squirrels like that in Baldur's Gate 3?
They changed the name to a much less cute animal, and also one that's kind of exotic, so you wouldn't question it. Now, what's the best brush of all? What is the S tier of brushes? Those are made from sable.
Oh my god, this, of
So
course.
cute.
10 out of 10.
Now, sable is a type of weasel. These are hunted for their
They're
fur.
so cute! Why do they look like that? How do they look like that? Why are they OP?
Of course, 10 out of 10.
Now, sable is a type of weasel. These are hunted for their fur for clothing.
Type of weasel? How can you shoot it? How can you shoot it? No, you can't. You can't.
But when they catch them to make clothes, they actually only want the body for the clothes, and so they discard the tail altogether. But those tails have the best hair for paintbrushes, and so they are snatched up by the brush makers. Now, the hair is special because it has an interlocking scales that vastly increases the surface area, but it also holds strong in the long term.
It's smooth, it bounces,
Same.
it moves. Only with
S-tier
Tresemme
hair.
Keratin Smooth.
And they sell for upwards of $300 a brush.
Okay. And the part what?
Alright, here's a top 10 list, sort of maybe Watch Mojo style.
Wait, hold on. I want to read the chalkboard. Think of an idea to change our world and put it into action.
Maybe Watch Mojo style of the most famous paintings, and just a few interesting things about them that you may not know. Pop quiz, sports shoe wearer. Look at this painting. What does it make you feel?
Chaos.
Too late. Or if you answered in time, wrong answer. Happy, sad. I bet those are the only two emotions you even know.
No, I said chaos. Chaotic.
The correct answer is shame, because you are embarrassing yourself. You know nothing about the art.
Okay.
So it is time to look at the best paintings to ever exist. And
Well,
let's
there is
begin
that.
with the most obscure of them all. Whoever this is.
Oh, he went into it like a Mario game.
The Mona Lisa. Now, I thought it went first name Mona, last name Lisa. Check it out. But turns out Mona is an honorific, meaning madam. So it's Madam Lisa.
Oh.
Now, relatively recently, historians have figured out who she actually is, and they found out that she's married to a Florentine merchant, Francesco del Giocondo. So that makes her
There are no images of the man, so here is a Florentine merchant for reference purpose. Okay.
Lisa del Gioconda, and that explains the alternative title of the work, La Gioconda.
Okay.
Now, the reason she has her arms crossed and is a little bit chubby is because she's pregnant. In fact, you can kind of see that she's wearing a veil, and that particular type of veil was worn by pregnant women at the time. Her husband commissioned the painting
So, like, pregnant women had a special outfit.
when Da Vinci was already well known, so it would have been very expensive. And that makes it very funny for a couple of reasons. One, it was never handed over to the family. Instead, Leo left it in his will to his apprentice. And two, because for a couple of hundred years, the prevailing theory was that she was not.
There are also theories that the painting is Leonardo's mom, or even Leonardo himself in drag. Interesting.
Aristocratic wife, but instead, a prostitute. Her hair being down and her almost absent eyebrows were common traits of working girls at the time.
Really? Even the eyebrows? Oh, that's interesting.
Anyway, why is this painting so famous? Well, Da Vinci was already pretty famous, and the painting got stolen. This became a very big news story, and her face suddenly started getting plastered on a whole bunch of newspapers and wanted posters, making her very recognizable. From there,
That's so interesting.
she became the most famous painting, which is why she always looks so smug.
That's so interesting. I thought that the painting was famous because the painter deciding to like not draw the eyebrows to make it kind of hard to tell her emotions. So there is like kind of like this vagueness to the painting for you to kind of interpretate. I thought that's kind of what, like, one of the reasons why it became famous. I didn't know that he didn't actually change that about her just for the painting. That's a cool backstory.
Starry Night, Vincent van Gogh.
Yeah, I sure hope it does.
I love that painting.
Painted while he was in the St. Paul de Musol Asylum. That's here. And this was the view from his bedroom window. Here is the real view a few decades later. He chose not to paint the metal bars. Now, you can see that there are 11 stars in the sky here. Supposedly, that's reference to Joseph from the Bible. Joseph, he had a hard life. The minivan, he had a hard life too. And he hoped that he would be remembered at least once he was gone, like Joseph. And you know what? It worked out for him because everybody remembers Van Gogh and nobody remembers the guys who bullied him and called him a ginger. Also, there's kind of a
so sad. It's so sad.
theory that he was killed by some kid. Go check out Wendigoon's channel for more information on that one.
He was killed by some kid?
Nobody remembers the guys who bullied him and called him a ginger. Also, there's kind of a theory that he was killed by some kid. Go check out Wendigoon's channel for
The mystery of Vincent van Gogh's death. So the way he died is not clear, huh? That sucks though. I don't know. It's a lot of like art also comes from a lot of people's pain, right? So it tends to have like tragic backstory, but that sucks.
more information on that one. Ah, the birth of Venus. Alright, let me tell you what's happening in this one. So, there's this lady, Venus. She is the goddess of beauty. And she is coming up out of the ocean in a big clam, right? Now, the clam is not a metaphor for her vagina. It's that she is the perfect
I didn't think
pearl.
of it that way.
Get it? Now, these two here.
Okay, she's the like perfect woman, perfect pearl. Is that the reference? Divine wind.
Are a divine wind. They are blowing her like a hot spoonful of soup towards the shore. And
Like
she
on
is
a
carried
boat?
all the way over to the beach. And this beach, by the way, is a real place called Paphos. It's in Cyprus. Here is what it looks like in real life.
So pretty.
Now, when she arrives on the beach, a nymph shows up, which is this lady here, and she has a cloak, and she throws the cloak over Venus, and she says, "You know what? You're very special. One day they're gonna name a four-blade razor after you." Arrangement.
Wait, hold on. These writings
One
are
day they're
not
gonna
missed.
name a four-blade razor after you.
Sometimes used for shaving. You know what? Okay.
Arrangement in black and grey #1. Also known as Whistler's Mother. Most famous for its appearance in the Mr. Bean movie. Now, when Whistler's mother originally agreed to be painted, she agreed to be painted standing up, but she had to pose for so long that eventually she got quite tired and had to sit down. Here you go. And that became the famous pose. The Garden of Earthly
Interesting.
Delights.
It goes
And
so
that
quick.
became the famous pose.
The Garden of Earthly Delights. Ain't it 1503, 1515? It took 12 years to paint this. It almost looks like it's been painted like recently because of like all the like more. I don't know how to describe this. Just like doesn't. It looks almost like sci-fi in a way, especially like on the top right. This is chaos. And it's so interesting. It's like mix of everything.
Garden of Earthly Delights. All right, this one is probably my favorite because it looks like a Where's Waldo.
It kind of
and then the whole thing just
does.
goes completely off the rails. So, Mr. Hieronymus, that's a name that's going to make a comeback, is doing all of this cool surreal stuff about 500 years ago.
It's surreal
So let's start on the left. Here is Adam and Eve and the pre-incarnation of Jesus. And they are all hanging out in the Garden of Eden. Now what's going on in the middle bit? That's harder to explain. The best theory is either that this is Eden if people were allowed back into the garden, or if they had never left in the first place, or if man had not committed original sin. But look at the size of that strawberry. Oh, here he is. Then on the right-hand
Interesting.
panel is hell, or at least a very bad time. This is where Oddlaw would end, that son of a bitch. Right, now, here's the interesting bit. It's not painted on a typical canvas. It's actually a sort of cabinet thing with 3 panels called a triptych.
Can
And the
you
neat
see
thing
that?
is, if you close the doors, more painting. That is the earth, and that is the firmament. A perfect balance between flat earth and globe theory. A Sunday afternoon on the island of La Grangette. This
That painting is very, very out there. It's interesting.
thing is pretty big, and here's the real-life place it was painted after. Although they've beautified it even more
beautiful.
with the office building at the back. What you may not know is that it is actually a sequel. First, George Seurat painted the left bank, and that's where all the working class sit. You see these guys that, you know, have a bit less money and stuff. Gross! And then this is the one that you all know, and that is on the right-hand bank. And all these people are a very bougie sort. That is Scrappy Doo.
It's a
And
bougie
that-
dog.
That's a monkey.
They had a
The Last
monkey for a
Supper.
pie.
Okay, so the scene is this. All the disciples are
Oh,
gathered
I've seen
around,
this
and this is
one.
the exact moment that Jesus declares, "Hey, by the way, I know one of you betrayed me." And this is everyone's shocked reaction to the news.
Yes.
Except there's one guy who's just pretending to be shocked. And here is who everyone is. I thought this was Mary, by the way. Turns out that's John. Very progressive.
Oh.
And that's all of the paintings, and no one has attempted one since.
Wait, what?
That's all of the paintings, and no one has attempted one since.
What do you mean no one has attempted one since? There were so many other paintings. What? End of part what?
And
I
wake
don't
up.
understand.
Quickly, flip the Nord logo.
People told me that this YouTuber's ad, he has like different character for each ad and stuff, so I should pay attention. I will.
Mariana's Trench. Flip it the other way. 3 pyramids.
Oh, cool.
Solving the mysteries.
There's not much time. I gotta log into NordVPN so the corporations can't track me. Marketing companies gang stalking me, listening to me through the walls. We found the death note.
Oh my god.
Wake up again. I don't have much time. The feds are at my door. Open up. I refuse to take my Nord milk pills. I wake up again. The demon in the corner of my room wants to access my NordVPN. I let him, because I can use it on up to 6 different devices.
Thanks, Nordman.
I know the corporations are building profiles on me. I go to Facebook, I go to Wikipedia, then suddenly I'm getting ads for feet on my Facebook. Big feet, big foot, big pharma.
Where is this
On Tuesday,
going?
I saw a red car. Coincidence? Huge deal on a 2-year plan plus 4 bonus months. 4 sides to a triangle. Coincidence? There's a guy reacting to my life in the corner right now. 30-day money-back guarantee. What's the goddamn catch? Time's going faster than usual, and only a limited time to get a great deal on a 2-year plan. I wake up again. It's the perfect Christmas present.
Who are you?
Wait a minute.
I'm
My
getting
family died in a
exhausted
suspicious
listening
house
to how
fire.
this guy's brain works.
Skinwalker in my house. Change location to Finland. Different regions have different prices on plane tickets and hotels. There ain't
Oh.
even a conspiracy. I take more microplastics
I
so I
didn't
can
think
see
of
through
it
the
that
ether.
way. I didn't think how it could be useful in like booking flights.
Nordman.
Pizza time.
But they're too late. I click Hyperborea and I am untouchable. If you understood anything that happened in this ad, go to nordvpn.com/incognito to get a huge deal on a 2-year plan
Let's
plus
go.
4 bonus months. And over.
Incognito.
Alright, so this one is about how to spot a fake painting. I quite like this section, but it kind of got bogged down by all of its technical information, and it went quite long. So, here it is. For the
Okay, I'm ready.
discerning audience. How to spot a fake painting.
This reminds me of like Animal Crossing, when you go to buy paintings in the game, and you have to like you guess if it's a real one or a fake one.
Glug, glug, glug. Oh my god. Is that a real Michelangelo? We're here now. Quick hypothetical lower tax brackets. If paintings like this one or this one go for literally gajillions of dollars, that's USD, then what's to stop someone from doing this? Then this, and then this, then this, and then saying it's real when it ain't. You know, faking a painting. Turns out, not much at all. In fact,
But
it can be...
because like a lot of these are painted with like, you know, they're not digitally made. So wouldn't like the texture and all that kind of stuff also give away? They can't just like print it out, could they?
very difficult to tell these fake-ass paintings from
Really?
the ones that keep it real. There's a whole ass art to detecting these fakes, and it's become an arms race, where the authenticators find new ways of detecting, and the fakers find new ways to get around their methods.
Technology's advanced. Do you think that makes it harder to make good forgeries?
Nah, you can beat the forensics.
So, authentication. There are three main categories.
Oh my gosh.
Provenance,
Flashbang.
connoisseurship, forensics. Let's start in alphabetical order. Provenance. Now, provenance follows the history of the painting, tracking down the previous sellers and the buyers, all the galleries that exhibited it, the hand-to-hand that it was passed through, all the way back to the original painter. However, the older the work, the harder it is generally to track the provenance. Take, for example, the most expensive painting ever sold, the Salvator Mundi, the finest expensive painting.
The most expensive painting is $497? Oh, million. Oh, okay. $497 million. Got a. I didn't see the top part until later. Dang.
Ever sold. The Salvator Mundi, the final Da Vinci, sold in 2017 for $400 million.
That's insane.
And it can only be traced back to 1958.
Sketchy.
Back then, it was sold for £45. But in the other 500 years of its history, no one knew where this thing was. Even today, people still dispute whether it's genuine.
I think it's a real flim-flam.
And this is a made-up piece of junk.
I think it's fake art news.
Real in drag.
Then it turns up in America? In New Orleans? Oh, I see. I think we've wished this Da Vinci into existence. Here's the lost Leonardo that somebody once mentioned in a book.
Provenance has gotten a lot easier over time. You used to have to track down books and read catalogs and stuff, but now it's all online. Control plus F, there it is. So you see, kid, there's nothing online. Nothing. Tell me who you bought this from, you son of a bitch. Where did you get this? Tell me the name of the auction house that sold you it. Connoisseurship. Look at the work. Do you believe what you are seeing? How does it look? How does it taste? Are these ballpoint pen strokes those of a master artist? Luckily, there are people like Martin Kemp, who spend their whole careers focusing on single artists.
I've been dealing with Leonardo for, I suppose, about 50 years.
They can pick out the fakes. So, for example, when he was looking at La Bella Principessa, he went, yep, he uses the trois crayons. He's a left-handed artist. The proportions of the head and the face are all correct. You know what? I'm going to give this a big rubber stamp right there in the middle of the painting. Confirmed. So, for the fakers, they have to have a keen understanding of who they are copying. One of the best fakers, Almir Dahore, for example, mastered the brushstrokes of artists such as Matisse, Modigliani, and Renoir so well that hundreds of museums are currently in possession of his works without even knowing it. Yes, well,
But how do
Michelangelo...
they know that they have his work without knowing it? Wouldn't they know by now then? Unless there's like a proof that he has painted those like that many and have put them out into the market, but people don't know which ones were drawn by him, I guess.
Michelangelo was famous for his Cangiante painting techniques, and I can't see any of that here. You're 0 for 2, kid. You're going down. Forensics. This thing's going straight to the lab. You're about to have a paint brush up with the law. Masterpiece? More like you're a real masterpiece of shit, kid. Fuck you. Alright, now the people that solve murders have really changed the game when it comes to art forgeries by implementing radiocarbon dating. Radiocarbon dating. Carbon dating? Yeah, but it's not serious. Listen, you're made out of carbon, I'm made out of carbon. Paintings are made out of carbon. And when a thing is made out of carbon, there are these unusual isotopes of carbon-14, right? They're floating all throughout the air and the atmosphere. Now, all living things contain a trace of them. They are taken in when something eats, breathes, anything else. And that happens continuously throughout the life cycle. However, when the organism dies, it stops taking in new carbon, right? Which means it stops taking in new carbon-14. Same thing happens to a painting. You've stopped putting paint on the thing, no more carbon. Carbon-14 is an unstable isotope, and it decays at a very steady rate. Poof. It turns into nitrogen-14 and a beta particle.
Beta!
And because these carbon-14 atoms decay at a very steady rate, in principle, you can look at the proportional number of carbon-14 atoms and determine how old something is. More carbon-14, newer painting. Less carbon-14, older painting.
Carbon chat.
In 1985, using this technique, they caught a guy, Robert Trotter, who fought in 1985 using this...
Calibrated age probability distribution with 95% confidence interval shaded. Oh, I thought I was going to say something more memey there too.
Technique. They caught a guy,
It's
Robert Trotter, who forged a Sarah Hon painting. Ah, far too many carbon-14 atoms. Lock 'em up, boys. But there are even simpler methods of testing the age of a pigment. 3 Jackson Pollock paintings were found to be fake when it was determined that the pigments on the canvas weren't sold until the 1960s. But Pollock was dead by 1956. Nowadays, there are huge pigment libraries that can be easily cross-referenced. So that shows the year a pigment was first introduced and what year it stopped being used. For example, anything that has titanium white has to have been produced in the last 80 years. I'm going to be honest with you, kid. Michelangelo never used the yellow Crayola. X-rays. Now, you can blast this thing with some radiation and look behind the painting to see what's underneath. For example, did the artist do a sketch first? Maybe this is painted over something else. If you look behind the Mona Lisa, you can actually see that she had a much larger head once, although maybe it just shrunk with age. And you can see that veil much more easily. Also, if you X-ray even further, you can see her fully formed skeleton. But the art forgers of today are a wily bunch. Forgers can source old canvases from the correct period. They can use error-matching pigments. Even the carbon dating can be a bit unreliable. Heck, even the X-rays can be bullshitted, as forgers take into account that their work will be X-rayed, as they do a sort of fake painting or sketch first, and then paint the next version on top. Alright, kid, I'll give you $20,000 for this, or a shiny new bottle of Ritalin. Works every time.
What? And the part what? This is driving me crazy.
This section is about Shakespeare. Wow, that would make so much sense for it to be in the...
Last video, he skipped the Shakespeare, so he's just putting it here. Okay.
Theater video on the main channel.
Yeah.
This dude showed up and changed the game. Shakespeare.
Even for painting? In the world of painting, did it change it?
Here's the thing, though. We basically know nothing about him.
Really?
First, we don't know what he looked like. There are two best guesses. One is from this engraving on a first folio, but that wasn't put together until 7 years after he was already dead. One of his peers, Ben Johnson, knew him though and said, yeah, it's pretty close. So maybe. The second is a bust that was made for his grave. There are a bunch of others, but they weren't commissioned by Shakespeare himself. They weren't done while he was alive, and he didn't exactly stop to pose for them. But these are the ones we most recognize him by. This includes Chad.
I think a Chad. I thought I was going to say Chad portrait.
Chandos, which is probably the most recognizable. So this could be him, or this could be some completely other dude, or it could be an idealized version. Now, we also don't know.
I think I've seen like the second version quite a bit.
Now, we also don't know exactly when he was born,
his
or
birthday,
when he
either.
died, or how he died. His birthday is celebrated on the 23rd of April, but there's no record of that.
I'm
And then he died.
surprised because he's so famous. His work is also really famous and preserved that I thought that other parts of him were quite well known or recorded.
Died on the 23rd of April as well. So he died on his birthday? Odd coincidence. But we know that he did marry a lady named Anne Hathaway. Yes, same as Catwoman,
No
but this
way.
one was the original. We also don't even really know how to spell his name. There are tons of different signatures by him, but they're practically all spelt differently. And let's not even get started on the conspiracies of whether or not he really wrote his plays. The son of two illiterate parents from a lower-class neighborhood suddenly becoming the world's greatest playwright? Bit suspicious. Also, whether he was gay, or worse, whether he was foreign, or what the hell is going on with his grave. So if you
So
go
we
to the
really don't know much about him for like confidently.
Holy Trinity Church in Stratford, there is his grave. There he lays, but there is an engraving above him. Blessed be the man that spares these stones, and cursed be he who moves my bones. Cursed, you see. You're not allowed to dig him up. So everyone is super spooked out by the curse, and they refuse to dig him up. So archaeologists instead have done radar scans.
Oh my god.
Turns out, his head is missing. He was grave robbed in 1794. So we can't even reconstruct him that way. And they won't open it up for DNA tests. So it's likely that we will never know the truth. The government is hiding something. The point is, Shakespeare stole a theatre at one point. Okay, quick
Why
trick.
so much mystery around him? So interesting. I keep on saying interesting, but that is. Like, why? Why so many things so, like, not clear about him?
The point is, Shakespeare stole a theatre at one point. Okay, quick Shakespeare moment.
How?
In 1599, Shakespeare was working as a playwright with his acting troupe called the Lord Chamberlain's Men. Now, they were leasing out a theatre in Shoreditch called the Theatre. Creative name. Anyway, they had a disagreement with the landlord, Giles Allen. Giles revoked their lease. Shakespeare and the Chamberlain's Men were not very happy about that, but they had no option but to walk away. But a few days later, in the dead of night, they came back.
Okay.
Now, the group met up just outside the theatre, and they had bribed the watchman to look the other way. Then, with daggers and tools in hand, they broke into the theatre. Now, they weren't there to kill Giles, and they weren't there to steal stuff from the theatre. No. They were there to rob the theatre.
How?
They tore down the entire building, piece by piece, and they
Okay.
started carting it away to a warehouse. From there, they ferried it across the Thames and over to Southwark. With the materials that they stole,
No.
they constructed the Globe Theatre.
No.
And there it stood for the next 14 years until it burnt down. Whoops.
That
There
can't
was a
be
performance
real.
of Henry VIII, and a prop cannon was involved. Don't worry about that. But then it was rebuilt. But then in 1642, it was shut down again. But in 1997,
Wouldn't it
a
be easier to just like build one of those buildings like off of fresh materials than like break something that's already existing apart and then use those materials to build Unless it was like really, really out of spite, or this also is just completely made up. I don't know if it can be trusted.
Recreation of the Globe Theatre was made once more, and in London you can visit it today, as long as you can avoid being stabbed.
Wait, why? What?
As long as you can avoid being stabbed.
I go for a chippy on a Tuesday? MFW? What does this mean? And end of part what? Are we gonna ever find out?
And now for the best section of all.
Come on, people, we're ready to shoot. Where's the pizza box with the hole in it?
Oh,
Pizza
never
box?
mind, that's my cue. I gotta go. Catch you soon. Don't forget NordVPN.
Once again, really, really interesting video. I learned some new things, some silly things. I didn't know that Shakespeare was so, like, not known. The thing about how the painting
his
of Mona
apprentice.
Lisa, how this got famous is so interesting. I did not know that at all. Oh, and also how to, like, tell, how people try to tell painting is real, like, or fake. That was really interesting too. Yeah, overall, really, really cool lesson once again. I do look forward to watching more of the series, and I'll learn along the way and become fancier. Thanks for watching with me, and I'll see you guys in another video. Until then, take care.